Politics may be about power and privilege, but in a democracy, people believe their leaders must adhere to a certain moral standard. As photographs emerge of Justin Trudeau wearing what is called brownface or blackface as some sort of idiotic gag nearly 2 decades ago, ordinary Canadians of all races are justifiably upset that their Prime Minister could have acted in such a racist fashion. Trudeau has had to apologise, but in this episode of Beyond the Headlines, I'm going to look at why political leaders in India, including Prime Minister Narendra Modi, are able to get away with a lot worse. In the North American tradition, blackface as a form of racist entertainment was one of the essential cultural components of a system that dehumanized African Americans and justified their oppression as slaves. In theatrical shows across the United States and Canada, blackface minstrels used blackness as not just a means of ridicule, but a marker of inferiority and backwardness as well. For a Canadian or American politician in the 21st century to wear blackface or brownface shows at best a breathtaking degree of insensitivity towards the cruelties of institutionalized racism, and at worst, it shows that person's own racist attitudes. That is why Trudeau was quick to apologize, even before there was a public clamor for it. He didn't equivocate or mince his words, even if he has been less than forthcoming about the number of times he acted in this racist manner in the days before he became a politician. Now, more than 20% of Canada's population is of Asian or African origin. The funny phrase they use in Canada is visible minorities, while native Canadians make up another 5%. Even if it's possible to run what in India we call vote bank politics by pitching for the support of the 75% of the population which is white, as Donald Trump has done in the United States, Canadian democratic politics has evolved to a higher stage. Today, it is simply not acceptable for a political party to promote racism and for a politician to make racially derogatory comments or to stoke hatred between races. This is the broad political and social context in which Justin Trudeau has apologized. It's worth taking note of the fact that his apology has not made the crisis go away. Now, I don't know enough about Canadian politics to say whether this incident will cost him his job, but even if he remains Prime Minister, he will face a rocky road from here. Now, contrast Trudeau's situation with that of Narendra Modi. Around the time the 29-year-old Justin was painting his face black, Modi was the Chief Minister of Gujarat. In 2002, he remained a spectator to the killing of over 1,000 Muslim men, women and children by communal mobs that had been mobilized by Hindutva leaders. Let me leave aside the question of his personal culpability for the violence, because the Gujarat High Court and then the Supreme Court have yet to take a final call on Zakia Jafri's petition against him. I want to focus on the moral and not legal plane and ask a simple question. If Trudeau can be pilloried for his racist appearance 17 years ago, should Modi not be taken to task for the communal things he said against Muslims when he was Chief Minister? After refusing to run any relief camps for the victims of the communal violence and then cutting off government rations in order to shut down privately run camps, Modi, in a controversial speech at Becharji on September 9, 2002, in the run-up to state elections that year, accused the hapless riot victims of contributing to a population explosion. He was playing on the popular RSS grievance that Muslim men are allowed to have 4 wives. The speech was taped by the State Intelligence Department, and when a copy subsequently made its way on television, the intelligence chiefs were sacked. Now, this is what he said at a time when the state was still reeling from the aftermath of the horrible communal violence that year. And I quote, "I told them that I got water from the Narmada in the month of Shravan. If they had it their way, they would have got it in Ramzan. What should we do? Run relief camps for them? Do we want to open baby producing centers? Hum Panch, Hamare 25. They make a long queue of children who fix tire punctures. In order to progress, every child in Gujarat needs education, good manners and employment. That is the economy we need. For this, we have to teach a lesson to those who are increasing the population at an alarming rate." Quote unquote. The State Intelligence Department sent a report dated September 12th to the Additional Chief Secretary Home on the inflammatory content of Modi's speech. The report quoted the text of his hurtful remarks and actually noted that the religious feelings of the Muslims may be hurt due to this and may lead to an increase in communal tension in the state. On September 18th, days after the tape went on air, the officers who filed that report were shunted out. Modi never apologized for what he said then, or indeed for the violence and killings he had failed to prevent. Now, just in case you think that Modi has changed and does not believe in insulting Muslims and trying to set Hindus against Muslims, you need to remember what he said during the 2019 Lok Sabha election campaign. At a rally in Wardha in Maharashtra, he openly stoked Hindu passions against the Muslims. Quote, "How can the Congress be forgiven for insulting the Hindus in front of the world? Weren't you hurt when you heard the word Hindu terror?" he asked. He then turned to attack Congress leader Rahul Gandhi for choosing to contest from Wayanad in Kerala, a seat, he said, where Muslims were in a majority. Quote, "Hindu community is aware now. It is evident from the fact that one has to contest a seat where the minority is majority." Modi repeated this inflammatory point in Nanded. Quote, "The Congress used a microscope to find a seat for the Namdar. In the chosen seat, the country's majority is in a minority." Shockingly, the Election Commission concluded that these communal comments did not violate India's election laws. But if Justin Trudeau did not break any law when he put on blackface, but yet has been forced to realize that a Prime Minister cannot be seen humiliating and insulting minorities, Narendra Modi may not have broken the law, but what kind of a leader is he who feels he has to not just insult India's Muslims, but also incite the majority Hindus against this minority in order to win an election? Worse, even after winning, there has been no let-up in the anti-Muslim rhetoric. Modi's Information and Broadcasting Minister Prakash Javadekar accused Rahul Gandhi of supporting Pakistan over Kashmir and then took a jibe at India's Muslims, saying, quote, "Wayanad se jeete to soch bhi badli," unquote. That Rahul Gandhi's changed so-called pro-Pakistan thinking is the product of his victory from Wayanad, where, as Modi has already told us, the minority is the majority. So where does all this leave us? Are Indian leaders immoral to set citizen against citizen in this fashion? That's a question I will leave you to answer. If you like this video or the channel, press the like button and subscribe. But more than anything, we need your financial support. The kind of journalism that The Wire brings in English, Hindi, Urdu and Marathi requires your donations. We don't have investors. We don't have huge financial support from powerful people. What we rely on is the love, trust and donations of our readers and viewers. You can click on the link in the description below to make a contribution to The Wire. Thank you for watching.